Five-ish fangirls, I love you, and I'm one of the five-ish. In fact, I'm the biggest one of the five-ish. I am the Sixth Doctor Colin Baker, and I wish you all well. Have fun.
The Tangents and Squeak continue all the way to episode number 45 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. But this ripple won't fade. It'll grow and grow until it's a tidal wave. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off like we do every week by going around the virtual table and see who's joined us this week. And we just lost Brittany.
Okay, this is Holly from Wisconsin.
This is Mitch in Kitchener, Ontario.
This is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Oh, this is a first.
We did have Brittany. This is the way it's been going. So in our pre-show meeting, she'd disappear and then she'd come back, and then she'd disappear and she'd come back. So Brittany will be here intermittently as technology permits.
Got thrown by the fact that I had to go first and forgot to mention that I'm actually in Goderich this week. I just defaulted to the usual.
They won't know.
Oh.
They won't know until you tell them.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've told them. So Brittany will be back, probably. Mm-hmm. And Chrissy is currently out celebrating her birthday and may join us when she's done. So, but happy birthday, Chrissy! So if she gets done with her celebration, she will grace us with her presence. So, alrighty then. So it's gonna be one of those shows. So just bear with us, folks. Mm-hmm. It's something in the air or something. I don't know. So we're just gonna jump straight in and see how everything shakes out at the end. So news. Not a whole lot of news this week, actually, but some news. Some exciting news. Not that this first piece of news, I would say we did. I think we saw this coming, but I don't think necessarily in this particular iteration.
Yeah.
I know we talked about this way back on when the Lego did the whole Lego voting thing, and the Doctor Who got all the votes, and then they did it, and they're like, yes, we're gonna make Doctor Who Legos, and we were all like, okay, so how long till we get the video game? And see, there's Brittany! Woo!
Hi, everyone.
We explained your technical issues, so.
All right, thank you. Sorry,
that's okay.
Everybody, for past and most likely future issues.
Yes, it happens. So, we're talking about our first bit of news. So, but we're getting Doctor Who Lego in video game form, but it is not a standalone Doctor Who Lego video game. It is going to be Lego is coming out with a game called Lego Dimensions, and apparently it's going to be like a multi-fandom type thing, and it's going to include like Batman, the Lego Movie, Lord of the Rings, Jurassic World, The Simpsons, Scooby-Doo, and Portal, the video game, along with Doctor Who. And we're going to get a Lego version of Peter Capaldi's Doctor, the TARDIS, and K9.
Cool.
How exactly that's all going to work, I'm not entirely sure. It's apparently it's going to be on the Wii U, which I don't have, so I'm already excluded, which makes me sad.
I have a Wii, but I don't have a Wii U.
Yeah.
My birthday is coming up.
Yeah. I guess if it's successful on the Wii U, they'll expand to other gaming systems. Maybe, I don't know.
Probably.
I would hope. I can only hope. It's like I have a PlayStation. I have a PlayStation 2. I have a Wii.
Yeah.
I have an Xbox. I also have a Nintendo 64.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone go old school.
Yeah, I got a Super NES floating around somewhere.
So listen up, Lego video game people, don't narrow the market too much. That's all we're saying.
Mhm.
Because we will give you our money.
Yes, we will.
Which is weird because like all the other ones is a bit different than like the Lego Star Wars and all that stuff. But
Right.
those were multi-platforms. One why they're exclusive.
I don't know. I don't know if it's because of the type of gameplay, because it is this multi-fandom thing. I don't know. Send an email to your congressman and or Lego representative and find out. I don't know. One of those two will have an answer.
Mhm.
Anyway, the game is supposed to come out in September, so
Sweet.
yeah.
I guess.
Things may change between now and then.
Yep. And in our next bit of news, that joking that we were making about Sherlock returning in 2025
Yeah.
might be very wrong. Sherlock Series 4 to begin filming next spring. We are used to long breaks between installments of BBC One detective drama Sherlock, but it seems the wait for seasons 4 might not be as long as we thought. Star Amanda Abington, who plays Mary Morstan in the hit drama, and the show's creator Stephen Moffat, have revealed that the drama will start filming again in the spring of 2016. Yay!
Yay!
Finally.
Yep. We were joking for the most part last week when we were talking about Sherlock, but it's like when you look at the calendar, it's like it's already mid-May. And they've started production on Captain America Civil War. So Martin Freeman is going to be tied up, depending on how big his role is. He's going to be tied up for probably a month or two.
And then we have Baby Cumberbatch.
And then Baby Cumberbatch is supposed to arrive at some point, and then Benedict is supposed to start production on Doctor Strange in November. And since he's the star of that, obviously he's really going to be tied up in that. So you figure they're going to be working on that for several months. So you're looking at early next year for production on that to finish. And I would assume that they'll break over like the Christmas holidays and all that. So they're going to have a break there. So you're looking at, maybe January, February for Doctor Strange to finish up. So, the time frame works. Spring, March, maybe April. So. And then in between there, they're all going to have to do
press junkets
and all that. Oh, Doctor Strange is not due out until late next year, I think. Or like early fall or something like next year. Post-production and all that fun stuff. So movie making is very involved. Depending on who you are. We've all watched the behind-the-scenes featurettes on our DVDs, and the bigger production, the more involved it is. So these Marvel movies. Anyway, so either way, we're getting.
Yay!
At least it'll start filming in the spring. Now, when it'll actually air.
That's another question.
Considering
when it's actually going to air here,
they filmed the one-off. We're calling it a Christmas special, but they haven't actually said it's going to air at Christmas yet. But, they filmed the Christmas special a couple months ago. So, months and months before it's supposed to air. So, who knows when Series 4 will actually air. Stay tuned to your TV guide. Really. I would say stay tuned to the internet. That's your TV guide. So, because you aren't going to hear from Martin Freeman or Benedict or Steve Moffat, because none of them use social media. So you're not going to hear from any of them.
Nope.
Anyways, moving on.
Moving on. Details have been released for the Arrow Flash spin-off, Legends of Tomorrow. So, when heroes are not enough, The world needs legends. Having seen the future, one he will desperately try to prevent from happening, time travel rogue Rip Hunter is tasked with assembling a disparate group of both heroes and villains to confront an unstoppable threat. One in which not only is the planet at stake, but all of time itself. Can this ragtag team defeat an immortal threat like anything they have ever known? And then... So, I saw the first trailer that they released for that, and it was pretty amazing. Like, I saw it, and like, my thought process was, oh my god, Hot Girl, oh my god, Sarah? What?
Yep.
Oh my god. It's like, so it was a lot along those lines. And then Arthur Darvill's character, Rip Hunter, showed up and like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
They're doing like this like montage type thing, and like all the characters are talking, and then all of a sudden Arthur Darvill like steps out of the shadows, and he's like, "Yeah, you're gonna have to travel in time to do all this stuff you're talking about."
Yeah.
I'm here to help you with that.
So.
He's definitely not Rory.
He's more like the Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But based on the trailer, I would guess that it's like Oliver Queen and Barry Allen are gonna like team up to bring this group together from both their respective cities to combat whatever this is while they get on with their own stuff. So, looks interesting. And in slightly related news, the first Super Crew CBS has been released, and it looks pretty amazing.
Long trailer too. It's like 6 minutes long or something. It's pretty involved. So.
But I like it. It looks really fun.
Yeah.
It does.
It really is. So I'm going to be watching that when it comes out.
Yeah, there's been several trailers for it. Did you guys see the I know I think I posted on our Facebook page with the trailer for the Muppets?
Yeah, it looks good.
This is exactly what I thought it was going to be. It's a Muppets Meet the Office, and it is glorious.
Well, and then too, somebody posted, I can't remember if it was Nerdist or something, it's just like comparing from the 70s to now, how much they've aged.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot.
Yeah. Because it was a BuzzFeed. It was a BuzzFeed post. Yeah, but they're always doing those, like, see what the cast of, like, Dawson's Creek looks like now, or the cast of Full House. It's like, that's what the cast of the Muppets looks like, and, like, other than, like, the mouse from the original puppet, but all the rest of them, it's like, yeah, they haven't changed any.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like, Beaker looks exactly the same.
So does Scooter.
Yeah.
Rolf looks like, might have gone in for a trim.
Yeah. He got his coat all shiny. But yeah. I saw that. I was like, oh my god, that's hilarious. No. Oh my. So, yay. Time where our shows are off and we're waiting for, clamoring for news and trailers and photos, and it's like, give us this over. I gotta stop mainlining stuff so that I have stuff to keep me busy until the fall.
Yep.
First world problems.
TV shows are addictions.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that is it for news. Unless Brittany, did you want to? Not done yet, but
I'm gonna
wait
a little bit.
Okay, you're gonna
like,
wait.
Fine tune the stuff, and then
okay.
we can.
We'll leave them guessing then. We have the photo challenge for June already figured out. It's not going to be an ABCs. Let's just say that. So you're going to have to do some thinking for next month's. Should we give him a hint? No? No hints? Okay. No hints. Sorry, you're all just going to have to wait. Alrighty then. Well, let's move on then to this week's topic. Like we mentioned, it is finale season. I can talk. I can speak English. I'm sorry. It's the feels. I rewatched the finale earlier today, and I'm still all like, what?
Yeah.
So, I can't. My brain just can't process what. Okay, Agents of Shield. Let's at least get that out there so people know what we're talking about. Agents of Shield. Second half of season 2 is now on the books under wraps, and especially, I mean, just obviously, if you haven't seen it, spoilers, and we should also put a little caveat there that we may delve a little bit into the MCU connections, just a smidge. So if you're one of those people that has not seen Age of Ultron yet, first of all, what's wrong with you?
Back away from the podcast slowly now.
Back away, because there might be a few spoilers for Age of Ultron. Just not too many, but just a few. We won't go all major spoilers like we did a few weeks ago, but yeah, there may be a few spoilers. So back away now. You've been warned. So. We covered the mid-season return already, which was not episode 11 of our show, but of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. it was like actually I think it's like episode 33, but of season 2 was like episode 11 or something. I don't know. The numbers, they confuse me. There was the episode there was an episode titled Aftershocks, was the first episode of the mid-season return. So we already covered that. So most of the second half of this season has been kind of two stories running parallel to each other, and then they converged in the not just the finale, but the last like 3 or 4 episodes of the season. So there's the storyline of Skye trying to cope and come to terms with her new abilities after being exposed to the mist and it releasing her inhuman abilities, which are at first when she gets upset and she creates these earthquakes, but then she discovers it's more than that. She has an ability to tap into the minute vibrations that every living thing emits, and we're not consciously aware of it, but she is on an inhuman level, and so she can do things like create earthquakes, but she can also do things like manipulate water or create like blasts and move something or someone, as she's done several times. So there's that, and then there's also the other storyline of Coulson doing what Coulson does. God love Coulson and Clark Gregg. I want to like go work for S.H.I.E.L.D. just so I can work for Coulson. I have no abilities whatsoever, but I just love Coulson so much. But there's dissension to put it mildly, and the dissension is coming. The team is already sort of fracturing because of what happened with Skye and Trip. Trip getting killed. So, we talked about how Simmons started to go down this path of like inhuman, anti-powered person. And once she figured out Skye also had abilities, she kind of reeled that back because, you know, it's like, first off, Skye's her friend, whether she has powers or not. But then Bobby and Mac are kind of doing something on the down low and trying to be all secretive about it. And we find out that they have been working for what is being termed the Shield, which is essentially Shield, everyone else working for Shield that's not working for Coulson. And it's led by Gonzalez, who was played by Edward James Olmos. And he and a couple other people have decided that Coulson, they don't like the way Coulson is doing things, the way Coulson is running things, and Coulson's erratic behavior when he was under the Kree formula that got put into him when he went through Project Tahiti. It's a magical place. Side note, quick thing. I was at the mall the other day, and this is a sign that you're a Marvel fan, and especially Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I was walking the mall, and I walked by Bath and Body Works, and they had all the signage for like their new collection for like the summer. There's new scent, and it's Tahiti, like Feel the Waves or something like that. And I just saw Tahiti, and I'm like, it's a magical place. Thank you for Tahiti. It's a magical place. I didn't smell it, so I don't know if it smells magical, but you know, anyway. So Marvel reference, you can, if you're a fan, you can find references to anything, anywhere. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
Yeah, so Gonzalez has managed to convince Bobby and Mac to spy on their behalf on Coulson, and it doesn't go over well, especially when Hunter finds out at all. As much as Hunter did not want to join S.H.I.E.L.D. at the very beginning of the season, once he realizes what's going on, he's like, no, I'm a Coulson man through and through. So there's that. And it all kind of comes to head when Coulson puts Skye in a safe house, which apparently was built by Bruce Banner for a place for him to go when he hulks out, I guess, because we see at one point when Skye takes like one of the panels off the wall, and there's this giant Hulk-sized fist indentation in the metal wall. But apparently also Captain America hung out there for a little while when he was recovering after they got him out of the ice. So yay for...
So I think that's where Coulson was when he was watching Captain America sleep.
I was watching you when you were sleeping. I mean, I was there when you were unconscious. Yeah. So yay for Avengers references. And having having other than having Nick Fury, you know, in the show a couple of times, having the Hulk fist indentation is the closest we've had to an actual like physical representation of one of the Avengers. We're getting there. Eventually, hopefully. I'm just waiting for the day we get Robert Downey Jr. on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It would be glorious! So, Coulson takes Skye to the safe house to help her, because when she loses control, she was trying to figure out how to keep herself under control. And she thought she was figuring out a way to not let her powers manifest. And what she was doing was she was actually internalizing him and literally breaking the bones in her body by the vibrations being kept internal. She was physically harming herself. So Simmons actually makes her a pair of kind of gloves, like fingerless gloves, which dampen. And if you're familiar with Sky's comic book alter ego, Daisy Johnson, aka Quake actually has a pair of like gauntlets, like arm gauntlets. But I think in the comics the gauntlets don't actually damper anything. So not quite, but we're getting there. But it was a nice reference. So there's that. But Sky ends up being visited by Gordon, who is the guy we saw at the end of the first half of the season, the guy with no eyes, and then we saw him in the mid-season premiere. And Gordon ends up taking her to this remote location where a bunch of the Inhumans like live. They have this little like commune community type thing, and they all
nice looking commune.
Yeah, I mean it's beautiful. It's out in like the mountains somewhere, and there's like all these tropical plants and just green, and it's beautiful. It's nice retreat, out in the middle of nowhere where they're not supposed to be discovered and can be, tested and all these things like what Hydra was doing. And it's and Raina ends up at the same place. And there's no love lost between Sky and Raina at all.
Yeah.
But Raina eventually comes to accept, what happened to her in her transformation. I think when she realized there's nothing she can do about it, and she ends up doing good in the process before. But along with Raina being there, we're introduced to a few new characters. Lincoln, who's about Sky's age, I would guess. We don't really get a whole lot of backstory on him, and hopefully we will going forward if he decides to stick around. But Lincoln had been through the mist, and he's got his abilities. He has the ability to generate electricity. But along with these other Inhumans, Sky's father is there, Cal, and then the woman that we saw in Aftershocks, when we see Gordon's at least a little bit of Gordon's backstory when he first goes through the mists and he loses his sight and all that, the woman that we saw that was there to help him and train him, we end up finding out that is Sky's mother, who we thought was dead because we saw Whitehall take her apart, literally.
Surprise!
So there's a nice little Sky family reunion that takes place there.
Yeah, to quote a certain twin from the Ultron movie, didn't see that coming.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Jiaying, that's Sky's mother's name. So Jiaying takes Sky under her wing, and it seems like, oh, it's a nice mother-daughter reunion, and Cal is there too, although he's kept locked up for the most part, but Jiaying does visit him, and he's crazy. But by the time we get to the finale, we realize that he may be crazy, but it's well-intentioned crazy, if that's the appropriate way to describe it. It's through no fault of his own. Well, I mean, it is his fault to a point, because he did experiment on himself, but he did it with the best of intentions. We find out that after Jiaying was dissected by Whitehall, that Cal actually pieced her together and put her back together. And we find out inhuman ability is that she can suck the life force out of somebody, and that allows her to heal really quickly from injury, and also keeps her from aging. Because she looks like she's probably in her mid to late 30s, maybe early 40s at best. And considering Skye is almost 30, I mean, she should be in her 60s, really, more than likely. Maybe mid 50s, and she doesn't look it. So there's something to play in a little bit. So Skye's with the Inhumans.
Well, I think there's some suggestion that she's actually even older than that.
Well, yes, that's true. That is very true.
50 or 60 could be a lowball estimate on her age.
Right. Because we saw.
Oh.
Did we see? I know we saw her in flashbacks when Whitehall got a hold of her, but the other flashbacks in the same village, didn't we see like a little girl that in the village, and that possibly could have been her? That could have been actually further back, or am I completely just like hallucinating that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I know.
The flashbacks can get confusing sometimes. But yeah, at minimum, Jiaying should be like in her 50s, maybe early 60s, but she could be significantly older than that, because we don't know how old she actually was when she met Cal. And we find out that the story that came along with Skye when she was rescued and brought to S.H.I.E.L.D. in the first place, when they labeled her in 084, is the entire village had been killed, and people either thought it was Whitehall looking for Jiaying, or we find out later it was actually Cal that ended up killing everyone. He's for looking for Skye, Daisy, whatever you want to call her. I call her Skye. I can't call her Daisy. I'm sorry. She is Skye. And Daisy just... I know that's what they named her, and I know that's who she is in the comic books, but she doesn't look like a Daisy. So.
She doesn't.
That's what I'm saying. So she's Skye. So humans and Cole's doing his thing, and he's looking for her because she was taken from the safe house after the safe house was attacked by Gonzalez and his people from the real S.H.I.E.L.D. Again, I'm doing air quotes that you can't see. And Coulson finds out about Gonzalez and how Mac and Bobby were spying on him. And with all of this, Grant Ward... Grant Ward he's got his revenge, but he's got Agent 33, who we find out her name is actually Kara, and he thinks he's rehabilitating her after she had been captured by Hydra and brainwashed, like we saw really early in the season. Your compliance will be rewarded and that sort of thing. And if you watched Agent Carter, we know where they got that technique from. Thank you, Zola. And crazy psycho Russian dude. It's all connected, people. It's all connected.
Yep.
Yeah. So Ward is helping Kara. At least he thinks he is, and she thinks he is. And because Ward was Hydra, is Hydra, depending on how you look at it, depending on which episode you're looking at. So.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he was Hydra the whole time.
Right. So Coulson ends up getting a hold of Ward and using Ward's contacts within Hydra, because at that point Grant has got a hold of Bakshi, and we're using what Bakshi knows about Hydra's experiments on powered people. Again, it's all connected, folks. Coulson almost rescues Skye, but not quite. But he ends up going back to the base with Gonzalez, and Gonzalez and his crew have taken the shield base that Coulson was using, and Ward ends up leaving Agent 33 behind, and we thought he was walking off into the sunset. That didn't happen, unfortunately. Yeah, but eventually, Coulson and his team and Gonzalez and all his people, they come together and they hash it out, and we learn about Theta Protocol, which was one of the things that made Gonzalez really suspicious about Coulson in the first place, is because Coulson was doing all this traveling, saying he was going to one place, but really he was going somewhere else. And even May got concerned about once this evidence was presented, and decided that, maybe Coulson's keeping secrets. I don't even know about. Of course, she was spying on Coulson for Fury, so, pot, kettle, black, Yeah. But, and in the middle of that, which is kind of interesting, because all this is going on, but then speaking of May, we do find out the story of Bahrain and how she became known as the Cavalry. And wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. At first glance, it seems kind of weird to put that particular episode. I mean, it's great that we got May backstory, and we see her, where she's still married to Andrew, and she's working with Coulson, but they're purely on like a directorial type. We'll tell you people with the guns what to do, and you go with the guns, and we'll stand here and call shots, that kind of thing. And she and Andrew are thinking of, trying to have a baby, and they end up going on this mission to Bahrain, and they encounter this powered person that has the ability to, I guess, control minds would be the best way to describe it, but she feeds on people's pain in the process. It's creepy and weird, and that we see a large variety of different types of abilities with the Inhumans. It's just like the X-Men and the mutants. They all have varieties. So, and it's the same way with the Inhumans, because I mean they're similar. Similar idea. Yeah, I mean they're still Marvel, so cut of the same cloth, two sides of the same coin, I guess. But May and like their entire field crew gets taken out by this woman. But then we find out that there's also a little girl that has the same ability, or before the woman was killed, she was able to transfer to the little... I think because the little girl already had it. Because we find out towards the end of the episode when they're looking back at how everything happened, the little girl, we see her running around the square, and it looks like she's just playing like tag with the people in the marketplace, and really what she was doing was putting people under these abilities. So I don't know if the girl was like the woman's daughter or something. I don't know if they explain that.
She was the daughter, but it was explained that this woman wanted her daughter to go through the mess,
right?
But Sky's mom didn't think the little girl was ready or like right type of person to go through the mess,
right?
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, but then this woman stole a crystal and did it anyway, and then her daughter got this ability and spiraled out of control and caused the whole situation.
Yes, there you go. I'm glad you were paying attention. I'm like, I think every episode I'm all over here like jaw floor, like what?
Mm-hmm.
This is why I had to go see Age of Ultron twice.
I think that was the point of it all.
Yeah. Hey! Birthday girl is here.
Sorry, they insisted on cake.
Hey,
so
you know what?
They sang to me.
I don't blame you for that.
It was very good chocolate cake.
Yeah. I will not fault you for that. I'm always one for cake. So.
Yes. And they had to sing to me twice because some of the little kids were downstairs and missed it, and they were like, "We want to sing too!" So they had to sing to me twice. So I got sing to 3 times in 2 days. It was wonderful. Anyway, sorry to interrupt your.
No, you're fine. Like I said, anybody that remembers what I've forgotten is more than welcome to pipe in, because I can only fit so much up in this noggin. So.
Well, I'm the same way. I'm trying, because the finale, the 2-part finale for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I don't know how much you guys have covered already.
Not that much. We're working our way up to it.
We're working through the
we were talking about Melinda and the Bahrain.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
Yeah, that one. Ooh, that was intense. Yes.
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah. I'm trying.
Yeah.
Whew.
We just remember there was feels. We don't remember the details. We just remember what we felt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Melinda May, she's been this badass character all the way through, and rightly so. I mean, she's just so freaking awesome. But what I love about that episode is that you see how she got there, and sometimes I think when we want these really tough characters, especially tough women characters, we kind of forget, like, well, how did they get there? How do they get to that point? And sometimes with the guy characters too. But I think, and that's kind of, and I'm going to tangent here. It's kind of what I appreciated about the Black Widow flashbacks in Age of Ultron,
mm-hmm.
and some of those things, because it was like, okay, she's more than just a super spy assassin. She, actually. She never asked that to have that happen to her. And same with Melinda May, at a certain level, is like she is the job, or she knows what her job is, but she has a husband, and they're wanting to have a family and all these things. But what does the job cost? Like, what does doing the job cost you? And I think that's throughout this second half of the season, especially, there's just been so many things lost, and for all these characters, and delving into Melinda May's backstory like that was just, I was not expecting that to be a thing. And then I saw what the title of that episode was, and I'm just like, oh.
And that's what I was talking about. It's like, yeah, it was great that we got this great Melinda May backstory. At first glance, it seems kind of weird where it is in the season, but the whole point was, one, to show that some of these Inhumans with their abilities are not the nicest folks and don't use them for the best. And sometimes it's not their fault. Sometimes their abilities get the best of them, I think. And they just, they lose all control. But then it also shows that Melinda had to make a hard call. And, she didn't want to have to take a life, especially the life of a child, but it was kill the child, or the child would continue to do her, inflict her abilities on people and cause more death and more harm, because in the finale, it came to a point where Sky and or Cal was going to have to make a hard decision with Jiaying and try and stop her. And then we also need to see that because Jiaying has got it in her head that S.H.I.E.L.D. wants to kill all the Inhumans. And she uses that as the prime example of what happened in Bahrain.
Yeah.
And that's why we needed that story.
Also with this whole, Hydra is S.H.I.E.L.D. and all that kind of stuff, that makes the Inhumans really distrustful of S.H.I.E.L.D. even, because Hydra is the one doing all these experiments on, like Jiaying. She was cut up and Whitehall used her to prolong his life.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I can see where her distrust of S.H.I.E.L.D. would come from, because, S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra kind of become the same thing. So I can see where this is all heading towards Civil War with the superhero registration sort of thing, because they've already planted the seeds for that, and they say, when and I'm jumping ahead here, but when Gonzalez says, we need to know where these, we just want to know who you are and what you can do, and Jiaying just does not trust him, and so I'm like, I can see where she's coming from, but I don't like her methods, but at the same time I'm like, what else could you do in that situation?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Sort of thing. And so, yeah, and even with, that little girl is, she's an innocent little girl. I mean, nobody suspected her until she showed up, and, turned out she was the one that was killing people and causing all the problems.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you've got, they have to know who these people are and what they can do. Otherwise, it's just going to cause a mess.
Exactly.
But at the same time, I can see where the Inhumans would be like, oh, you're just rounding us up and registering us. So it's like, it's a very delicate situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you find that balance?
Exactly. And that's where, like you said, I mean, that's the Civil War storyline that's where it's headed. It's, assuming that it keeps with, how it goes in the comics, that's the whole idea. And on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's the Index is what they call
Index. Yeah.
Their list, because when they end up rescuing, at least for the short time, Sky and Lincoln gets indexed, and so it's there. It's a plot point, but like I was saying, all everything starts to, as we get closer to the finale, everything's all these people that have been off doing their own thing, Sky with the Inhumans, and Ward being Ward, and Gonzalez and Coulson with Hunter, and all this, and it all meets together with Coulson and Gonzalez, and still wants to rescue Sky, and Sky is trying to convince her mother that she should meet with Coulson and try and talk this out. And Gonzalez is over here like, no, I want to do my thing. And, because Coulson, you can't be trusted. You were carving stuff into walls and you were crazy there for a while. And, Fury left you in charge and you've got all these secrets in this little box. And they eventually kind of hash out an agreement, and Coulson being Coulson, once Gonzalez does what Coulson asks, as far as rescuing Sky, unlocks Fury's toolbox and gives it to Gonzalez. He's like, here you go, unlocked, have at it. And by the way, Fury will probably want that back when he comes to collect it. And he's like, spoilers!
That was the absolute best of that whole episode. Was like, Because the whole time I'm like, okay, Gonzalez and all your crew, you make a lot of sense. I don't like that you're making a lot of sense. And then Coulson shows up and says, oh, by the way, Fury's toolbox, Fury's coming for it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have a call from Maria Hill.
Yeah.
and
that leads us into...
on his face like, leads us into Age of Ultron. And I was just sitting there going, oh, yeah. Here we go.
Yeah, exactly.
Shield is back.
Yeah. And that leads us right into Age of Ultron. It was fantastic.
Which, if you want to go back and listen to that Glee Fest.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
although I do like the revelation in the subsequent episode as to what Theta Protocol actually was.
yeah. Because I was like, ooh, what's Theta Protocol? Is it going to be some, some sort of inhuman? Because Gonzalez is convinced that, Coulson is gathering powered people to create, his own little army or something, which Gonzalez really could not be any more wrong. It's like, is this Theta Protocol? Is that Coulson collecting Inhumans, so that he can, do whatever he would do with powered people? No, it's the helicarrier that was in Age of Ultron. That's all it was a flying boat. That was Theta Protocol.
Yes. They got all the people out of Sokovia.
Yes, exactly. Although at post
Gonzalez, you and your conspiracy theories.
Exactly. Which that shut Gonzalez up real quick. Once they found
it was a glorious.
Yeah.
It was a glorious moment.
Yeah.
It was.
We get to that episode at the after Age of Ultron, and you see snippets I'll have on the TV screen, the news stations will be covering the events in Sokovia, and I'm like, hee, tie-ins. It's all connected. Love it.
Yep.
So, once Coulson and Gonzalez reach common ground, and Skye convinces her mother that she should meet with Coulson, it looks like maybe, that S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Inhumans may be able to reach some sort of agreement so that there's no bloodshed and everybody's happy. But that's not the case. First of all, Gonzalez goes in Coulson's place, which, considering what happened to Gonzalez, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Very good thing.
Yeah.
But we find out that as crazy as Cal is, he is nothing compared to Jiaying.
Yeah.
Neither of these people are going to win Parent of the Year. Ever.
I thought, my mom is cold.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She is just...
that thing. She broke the crystals, killed Gonzalez, shot herself.
Twice.
Mm-hmm. Twice.
Pinned the beam on him. And oh my God, this woman is all to start a war with S.H.I.E.L.D. And they all go along with her. And I mean, the viewers, we, the audience, are all through this, are like, oh, this is great. Skye's got her mom back, and she's not as bat crap crazy as Cal. Oh, good. This is good for Skye and all these things. And then you find out, no, not really, because she's just as bad. She's just as crazy as Cal. She's just more
in a different...
calm about it.
Yeah.
She's more calm about it. She presents a more civilized front than Cal does.
Right.
But, yeah.
That's minus the
behind that front, she's way worse.
Yeah. So she orchestrates this whole thing, makes it look like Gonzalez attacked her, and of course Skye is like, "Oh no, S.H.I.E.L.D. attacked my mother. What will I do?" And she is stuck between rock and a hard place until her mother shows her true self by killing Raina, which As what you feel about Raina in the end. She knew her destiny, and that's the thing. Is Raina, when she went through the transformation and she becomes like this giant pincushion, she doesn't understand, and then she starts having these dreams, and she doesn't realize that they're actually visions of the future, and she actually ends up having a vision of what happens in Age of Ultron. But once she realizes that her ability really is to see the future and have these visions, and she sees what Jiaying is planning, and realizes that Raina realizes her destiny is to show the true intentions of Jiaying to the Inhumans, and especially to Skye, so that Skye can stop her mother and Skye can become the true leader of the Inhumans. And she knows that Jiaying killing her and allowing Skye to see that is going to push Skye in the direction to not blindly follow her mother just because she's her mother.
Yeah, and because she's been looking for her for so long.
Right.
Which, I have to say, big time kudos to the casting department, because I could definitely believe, and I can't remember her name, I can't remember the lady's name who plays Jiaying, but I could believe that woman is supposed to be Chloe Bennett's mother. Mm-hmm. Like, every time I saw her on screen, I was like, she is a spitting image, pretty much. I mean, there's little differences, but it's like, yeah, totally. She is that, they're supposed to be mother and daughter. Mm-hmm. And I could never get over that. Like, she would be on the screen for a minute, and I'd be like, that's Skye. Oh, no, that's her mom. Mm-hmm. So, I just had to throw that out there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So, with that, Jiaying set her plan in motion, and using Cal as a distraction, she sends Cal as a peace offering back to the base, Coulson's base, and uses Cal going all, which, again, he, unlike a lot of the characters, Coulson is a made up character that they made up for the movies and all that. I think May and Ward and all them, they're all made up. But Skye is straight from the comics. We know Bobby Morse is straight from the comics. And Cal is from the comics. And his comic alter ego is Mr. Hyde. And up until that point, we've just seen him go a bit angry. But he finally gets the opportunity to go full on Mr. Hyde with the complete physical transformation. He gets bigger, and his hair gets crazy, and his fingernails get all like gross, and his face kind of gets distorted, and I mean, he just like what you'd expect from like the old like MGM horror films, like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. That's the whole thing. Is the basis but behind the name, and it's kind of like out of The Shining. He's like, here's Johnny,
Yeah, that was just craziness.
Yeah.
And it was like okay, this is like discount Hulk, pretty much. It's like,
yeah, pretty much.
When they're going through that, and I was like, how in the world are they going to stop this guy? I mean, it was like just that unstoppable, and then Coulson pins him with the truck. Mm-hmm. And does that thing, and he appeals to him, and I love how they did that in that part of the episode, because Coulson has been established. This is the Coulson's team. This is like Skye's this is Skye's surrogate family. Mm-hmm. This is where she's felt the most at home, and then her biological parents show up, and she's looked for them for years and years. So here we've got Skye's adopted father reasoning with her biological father, who wants he says, he just wants to put his family back together. And Coulson finally gets through to Cal and says, look, you love your daughter. I care about your daughter too. Let's do this for Skye, and I need your help with this.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of team up and realize, and how they realize that Jiaying is bad news.
Yes, exactly. While that's happening, Jiaying has taken over Gonzalez's boat that he was on, and all of his crew and all that, and she's brought several cases of the Terrigen crystals with the intent of getting as many SHIELD agents to that ship as possible and breaking the crystals, knowing full and well that, if they're inhuman, they'll become their inhuman selves, but if they're not, they'll die. There's no if, ands, or buts about it. And if you're already an inhuman, then the crystals aren't going to bother you at all. They're just a bunch of fog.
Yeah.
And you can touch them, and it nothing will happen to you. But it ends up being, it doesn't quite work out as Jiaying would hope, because a bunch of SHIELD agents are they're responding to the SOS beacon from the ship, but Coulson figures out what's going on and tells them to turn away. So it's just Coulson and Cal and May and
Skye gets out, doesn't she? And she
because they were
sends a message.
Yeah. She ends up using the beacon to send a coded SOS type message that Fitz picks up on and lets them know that it is a trap, and that there's a case of the crystals in the fan room of the ship. So, and all of the ship's air goes through that room and gets from that room, like your home's air conditioning system.
Mm-hmm.
So if those crystals break, it'll go to everywhere in the ship, and it'll just be mass genocide, really. And Mac is on the ship. And poor Mac just wants out.
Yeah.
At this point, Mac just wants to go home.
Yeah.
And take a load off.
He is 100% done. But he's the one who gets Skye out.
Yes. Yeah. So as much as Mac doesn't want to be there, once he realizes what's going on, he's like, okay, fine, I got this. I'll do.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So we end up seeing, and Skye manages to convince Lincoln that Jiaying is nuts and isn't doing the right thing for their people. So he ends up assisting Skye and May and all them with taking out Jiaying's crew. And I don't think we got a name for her, but there's another Inhuman. I think Mac called her the Ginger Ninja.
Yeah, Ginger Ninja. She was cool, but I was like, man, I wish you were on the good guy's side, because you'd be so cool to have around.
Yeah, because she has the ability to replicate herself. She can create clones of herself. So at one point there's half a dozen of her, and when they first take the ship, when Lincoln is still on the Inhuman side, and she passes him in the hall, and she's like, I'm on my way down to to secure the armory, and I'm also in a conference room on the next deck.
I know, that was awesome.
Yeah,
I liked that. Even though she was trying to kill all the people I like.
Yeah.
I really like the way Skye was able to hold her own against 5 assailants.
Yeah.
At that one point, she was holding her own against 5 of this woman. And it was like,
yeah. And I can't remember. Was she able to use her powers at that point? Because I know they had like those cups.
No, I think
Yeah.
she was wearing the power suppressing gauntlet.
That's what it was.
Like they were secured to her wrist. Like she could not take them off if she wanted to.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
she couldn't use her powers. I was trying to remember the time frame of that. So, 'cause
Yeah.
I know
She gets released from those after Lincoln switches over to the Shield agents side.
Yeah. Which is good.
yes.
I'm glad Lincoln saw the light.
Yay. Yes.
Yay, Lincoln.
Good job, Lincoln.
As I mentioned earlier, I like Lincoln.
I do too. I
Lincoln
hope he
is
sticks
cool,
around.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We could have him hang around and do some stuff for a while Bobby is off recuperating, which we haven't touched on yet.
Yes.
So,
Oh yeah, we haven't really talked about
so
this. Yeah.
while all of this is going on, Ward,
It's like this one hurt. This hurt bad.
yeah, literally and figuratively, this one hurt.
Yes.
Ward gets a hold of Bobby, because he'd left Agent 33 at the base, and she's able to do her I can wear Agent May's face trick to convince Bobby to go with her, thinking they're going to go meet up with Coulson and everyone. But she ends up taking her to Spain instead, and meeting up with Ward, because Kara and Ward, or through Ward, are convinced that Bobby is solely responsible for the horrors that Hydra put Kara through. Because when Bobby was undercover at Hydra, which we saw when she was undercover at the same time Gemma was, although Gemma was not undercover because they knew who she was, I guess. But she was still a spy, I guess. But I guess something happened, and to prove herself to Hydra, Bobby had to give up sensitive SHIELD information. So she gave up the location of one of their safe houses, and she didn't know whether it was occupied or not. She just picked one at random.
Say that?
Yeah, she said she didn't know whether it was occupied or not.
Yeah.
And she said it was just unfortunate.
I remember. Yeah, I remember there was an episode where we saw like Hydra storming one of the SHIELD safe houses. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe that was the first half of the season.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway.
But yeah, no, she said,
Carry on.
yeah. So, but she's like, it was one life versus several lives, and blowing her cover in the process. And Ward,
Ward has made himself irredeemable.
Yeah. There was a moment there where it looked like maybe, he'd saved Kara and, gave her to SHIELD, and she's been through a lot, but with your guys' help, she can find her way and find herself again. And we thought he was just going to go sip Mai Tais on a beach somewhere or something. I don't know. But no, Ward is... I wish I was like a psychologist or something so I know what the proper medical terminology is for the type of psychopath he is. Honestly, because he is. He has no remorse whatsoever for the things he's done, because he believes he is justified in his actions because of what was done to him. He doesn't believe he's responsible for his actions because he was abused as a child.
In other words, he is the Rumpelstiltskin of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So he refuses to claim any sort of responsibility for anything he has done. It is all, for a short time where he joins back up with the Coulson and crew and all that, he's like, oh, we're all back together, and they're all like, no, we don't trust you at all. And he's all like, I know I've done bad things. I've been through a lot. You know, he's constantly putting the blame on someone else. And
Yep.
there's no room for redemption there as long as he continues down that path. And he does not seem to, he's not going to seem to change at all anytime soon. And before, you know, where it seemed like maybe he was getting somewhere and then Simmons was gonna kill him and she ended up failing. And I was like, Gemma, you know, you can't, I was screaming at the TV, like, Gemma, you can't do that because then you're going to be just as bad as Ward. And then she failed. And I was like, okay, that's good because, you know, now Ward can, you know, move on and maybe redeem himself. And then he proves that he's not redeemable. And now I'm all like, man, I kind of wish Gemma had killed him. She missed her chance. And now he's still alive doing his thing. So Ward tortures Bobby. That's the, and I don't even want to describe what they did to Bobby just because I can't.
Just watching it.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I was the same way. Just watching it, I was like, "Oh, please don't show that, please."
Yeah.
No.
Let's just say it involves putting sharp objects underneath her fingernails.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Let your imagination do the rest, and it's probably worse than.
Exactly. And like she's numb for it. Like they numb her, and then they just like, yeah, when the anesthetic wears off, you'll feel it. And I'm just like, oh gosh, no.
Yeah.
And she's just there talking to them, and you can see it like when it starts to wear off that, you know, she's getting slightly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And Ward is still taunting her, and she's still just. I mean, this is why I love Bobby. I love her. She's awesome, and she's still talking to him, and refusing to give him what he wants, and all these things. And eventually, she does get out, and she starts
beating the crap out of him. It's awesome.
With the thing still in her fingernails.
Well, no, she pulls him out. No, she pulls him out and shoves him into Ward's neck. Is what she does.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is even more like, you know, she was able to, first of all, pull those out and still have the mental capacity to shove him into his head. It's just, yeah, Bobby lays a smackdown on him for a good hot minute before Kara comes in and breaks it up. Although she takes them both on there for a second there too. But Ward ends up getting her and breaks her knee, which, that's horrific too.
Bobby got beat up in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not.
I was really concerned for her, especially, you know, because we'd had this rumor that she and Hunter were going to get a spinoff, and they were like, no, the spinoff's not happening, and this was pre-finale had aired. So knowing that the spinoff was not happening and then watching what was happening to Bobby, I'm like, are they going to kill her? Is that why the spinoff is not happening?
Well, I think, the spinoff's not happening because they didn't pick it up, but
I
had that same thought too. I'm like, I guess now they're free to kill her off. Don't kill her off!
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but she at least gets a few good punches in on Ward and Kara there, but they end up tying her to, it's like some James Bond. They end up tying her to a chair with like an automatic rifle behind her and slightly off to the side, and then having it set up so that whoever opens the door, the rifle will automatically fire and shoot them, and in theory, get them in the head. And as Ward said, brains everywhere. Thanks, Ward.
Thanks for that image, you little...
Yeah. And of course, guess who comes to Bobby's rescue? It's Hunter.
Oh, Hunter, you're killing me. Like the whole time that he's like, I gotta find Bobby. We gotta find her. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I knew you guys were like an item, but you're giving me not quite Swan feels, but you're getting in that range here for me. And I'm just like, this is not gonna end well.
Yeah. And while Hunter is looking for Bobby, which I think is funny because Hunter is constantly going like down the halls going, Bobby, I'll find you, Bobby. Where are you, Bobby? And meanwhile, May and her team are like being as silent as death, trying not to make any noise whatsoever.
It's a good thing May was there to kind of keep Hunter from going absolutely crazy.
Well, yeah.
This. I mean, I feel for the guy. I really do. And it's just like, oh, man.
Yeah. But, so Hunter is looking for Bobby and ends up finding the room, but Bobby is able to wiggle herself and she puts herself in front of the gun as it goes off. And so she...
And I legitimately thought they'd killed her off, and I was just like, you!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just like Hunter is just like, no!
I don't think I automatically assumed she was that. I just prayed she wasn't. Like, I didn't want them to, like, I was hoping that she had somehow survived.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
which she did, thank goodness.
She did, but she's gonna need
she's gonna need a lot of time to recover.
It was barely. Yeah. She survived, but barely.
The one redeeming thing of that particular rescue mission was that May got her revenge on Ward short of killing Ward herself. She did the next best thing, and using the confusion of who's on what level in what corner and all that, when Kara takes out one of the agents and she gets a hold of his old walkie-talkie, and May sees that from around the corner, and May realizes that Kara doesn't know where everybody is. So May gets on the walkie-talkie and tells all agents to converge on, I think it was like the southwest corner or something like that. And she's like, do not, I don't forget what exactly she says, but it's like, don't.
She says, don't
shoot until you see
my face. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which, of course, Kira is all like, I can use that to my advantage.
Yeah, because at this point, Kara is just like, they've just seen the back of her, so they assume it's May.
Mm-hmm.
And then she turns around and she, kicks everyone's butt. And then May's like, oh yeah, don't, until you see my face. Yeah, honey, you really should have taken that mask off.
Yeah, well, she couldn't. It was permanent, but they did have it repaired so that she had more control over it, and she didn't look like May, who had just fallen into a campfire. Was really the biggest thing with it. But Kara, of course, like at that point, like Hunter's with Bobby, and May is like with one other agent, and really that's it. That's all the people that are in the building, but Kara doesn't know that, and Ward doesn't know that. So Kara decides to put on the May face, and the only reason that they really indicate that before her encounter with Ward is when Hunter opens the door and the gun goes off. You hear the sound of it, and you see Kara with May's face on it, and you hear her hear the gun go off, and you see her smirk. And that, I think that's kind of your indication that, if it had been May, she wouldn't have smiled, because she would have been like, oh, gunfire, what was it? I got to go figure it out. But no, because of the smirk, it's Kira wearing May's face. But Kira, wearing May's face, heads towards the location that May, the real May, had said in the walkie-talkie, encounters Ward. Ward doesn't realize it's Kira and shoots like a half a dozen rounds into her and ends up killing her.
At close range.
At close range. Like, he takes the gun, puts it right in her gut, and just fires till he empties the clip. And, you know, and she's all like, baby! You know, and he realized that it was actually Kira and not May, because at this point, Ward is all like, you know, I owe May, you know, payback for the incident with the staple, the nail gun from season 1, I think. But so short of killing Ward, having him be responsible for killing his little ingenue is like the next best thing, I think, on May's wish list, I think.
Yeah. So, and I shed no tears for that.
No, not really.
Yeah, same here.
So. You know, I'm sure May thought that would maybe hinder Ward emotionally. And it probably did for a hot second, but it's going to end up biting her in the butt, because that ends up fanning the flames under his butt even more.
Yeah.
And Ward is now the self-proclaimed leader of Hydra.
Yippee!
Yeah. He's gathered himself a few minions, and as
he's like a bad penny.
Yeah, you just can't get rid of him at all. So there's that we're gonna have to deal with. That's fun.
Joy.
Yeah. So
Happy season 3, everybody.
Yeah, it's like the Avengers thought that they had finished Hydra in Age of Ultron. Yeah, no.
No, cut off one head, blah blah blah, etc. You know.
Pretty much. Well, these Hydra minion guys had gone out looking.
They needed leadership.
They need leadership.
They mentioned a distinct lack of heads.
Yes.
So Ward is basically it at this point.
Yes. Because Von Strucker is dead. List, as far as we know, is dead. We don't know exactly what happened to List, actually. But Whitehall is dead.
Who was the guy they killed in the jail cell in Age
that
of
was
Ultron?
Strucker.
Wasn't that?
That was Strucker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we don't
I
know.
got all the heads mixed up.
Yeah. So there's still people that want to be part of Hydra, but there's no distinct leadership right now. So Ward is to take up that mantle. Ugh.
I know.
Yeah. So there's that.
Like I said, he's Rumpelstiltskin.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Absolutely. So there's that storyline, which is finished, I guess, for now until next season. So back on the ship while all this is happening, once they get Bobby back to the base and Simmons,
they got her there really fast.
They got her there and just in time. So Simmons did what she could, and it's funny because I know that Simmons is a doctor, but it's not very often we see Simmons go like all like MD on somebody. Mm-hmm. So she went full on ER there for a hot minute, which was awesome. Like, go Gemma, doing your thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yay.
But I mean, that's what she's there for. I mean, she goes out on the assignments every now and then, but she stayed behind, and Fitz with Coulson, and she and Fitz have a moment there for a second before Coulson walks in and runs it. Thank you, Phil. Impeccable timing there, Phil.
Will Fitzsimmons never get their moment?
No, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that, yes.
Yeah. So Fitz goes with Coulson to Gonzalez's ship, and with Skye finally free of her dampers, she can use her powers. They take Cal with them, and Mago's with them. Lincoln is now on their side, so the tides are turning. And with the help of Fitz and his technology, they're able to trap Gordon in the fan room. Because Gordon obviously has teleportation powers, and him being able to pop in and out was really difficult for Mac. Mac has one of the best lines, because Mac has made it to the fan room, and he's sitting on the case that the crystals are in, and Gordon pops in, and Mac is all like, "Gordon, right?" And Gordon's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm the guy that kills Gordon."
I love Mac.
I do
love
too.
Him so much.
Yeah. So they use these quantum field generators or whatever they were that Fitz comes up with, and it keeps Gordon from being able to teleport out of the room. He can still teleport while within the room. He just can't get out of the room. And between Mac, Coulson, and Fitz, they're able to give Gordon a run for his money. Mac has got like a fireman's axe. Coulson's got like a giant like lead wrench, like pipe wrench, and Fitz has got like a giant pipe, like a metal pipe, and they're just swinging and trying to make contact with Gordon and all that. And at one point, Gordon actually gets the case open, but not completely open, and I'm assuming that's how he gets when he gets the case slightly open there for a second.
Yeah.
But in his teleportation, he aims incorrectly and teleports around the pipe that Fitz is holding, and Fitz ends up skewering Gordon.
And the way they shot that scene, moment, and it makes it look like Fitz is the one who was impaled, and I was just like, no!
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
I was like, this episode, I swear, gave me so many heart attacks.
Yeah.
It's amazing I'm still breathing here.
Yeah.
It's amazing I made it to my birthday.
But no, Gordon Fitz is fine, and Gordon ends up, he dies from being impaled. But he had gotten one crystal, and as he's falling, the crystal flies out of his hand, and Coulson does like this, World Series winning third baseman, like, jumping for the pop fly ball that, if he catches it, the guy will be out. And, the World Series will be over, and he jumps and catches it right before it hits the ground and cracks open. And they all are like, oh, for a second. But then,
I did too, because I was like, oh, good, Coulson caught it. And then I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah. But then, because Coulson is not an Inhuman, at least as far as we know, the crystal starts to do what the crystal starts to do is like what it does when somebody grabbed a hold of the diviner who wasn't worthy, is they start to turn to stone. And it starts in his hand and creeps up just past his watch, and then Mac cuts off his hand.
Mm-hmm.
Which, thank goodness, because otherwise we would have lost Coulson, but now Coulson is like Luke Skywalker.
Yep. Although I had this pointed out to me, is that in every movie of Phase 2, somebody loses an arm or a hand.
Or something.
Or something. It may not be permanent, but like an arm or hand gets cut off. Like in Iron Man 3, dude, he lost limbs. Thor lost a limb. Guardians of the Galaxy, Groot did, and his grew back. And I can't remember what we said happened in Captain America. But somebody got a limb cut off. Maybe it's Crossbones.
Maybe.
I don't remember now.
Bucky's got a metal arm in Winter Soldier. So I don't know.
That's true.
I'll allow it.
He lost it somewhere in between First Avenger and Winter Soldier.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, I just had to throw that out there.
Yeah. Limbs and arms and eyeballs just being dropped off everywhere. Check your local lost and found.
Yes.
So, so there's that. So, like I said, Coulson's now like Luke Skywalker before he gets the fancy new hand. He says he's looking into options, and I don't know if he'll go to Stark Industries for something like that or what. I don't know. We'll find out.
Does Tony know that Coulson's alive?
As far as we know, not yet, but it's gonna have to happen eventually.
That's the thing. That's the thing with all these Avengers and everything. They've never said. We never said if Cap and Iron Man, they all know if Coulson's still around and kicking and has been running S.H.I.E.L.D. in Fury's absence. So
I don't think so.
I'm
He could go.
someone,
He could have Hill do it for him though, because Hill works at Stark.
That's true.
So
that's true. That's true. But I'm just like, it's got to come up at some point.
Yeah. Or if it's somebody else, maybe it's whoever. Maybe it's whoever they sent Mike Peterson to after he lost the Deathlock leg and all that. So because Simmons had sent to fix him. If it's not Stark, whoever they sent Mike Peterson to, they could hook Phil up with a new something or other, hand.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, and he'll have something because they're not going to make Clark Gregg walk around with
a sling.
They're not going to Captain Hook him.
Yeah. No, not at all. But they stop those crystals from being deployed, and I don't think we know what's happened to those crystals since. I'm assuming they locked them up because Coulson ends up putting Mac in charge of all the alien artifacts because he doesn't trust them. So,
but don't they get loaded up onto the
no?
That's
the other case.
Ocean?
That's the other case.
Oh, okay.
There was more than one case.
Okay.
There was like at least 2 or 3 cases.
Yeah.
All right, I didn't remember.
Yeah, there's the case that was in the fan room, and then there's the case that Jiaying had put on the Quinjet when she gets confronted by Sky, and Jiaying ends up trying to take Sky's like life force or whatever it is that she sucks out of people's bodies to keep her young and healthy and vibrant. And Sky ends up using her powers and pushing the Quinjet off of the ship into the ocean. And then Cal comes and because Sky said she was willing to kill her mother if it came down to it. And she was getting ready to do it, but Cal comes and, he's like, stop. I don't want you to have to live with that. I'll do it. And Cal, using his superhuman strength and all that, ends up crushing Jiaying and killing her so that Sky does not have to live with the guilt of killing her own mother. And then they end up using part of the Tahiti, it's a magical place, on Cal and making him forget all about Sky and Jiaying and everything. And he gets a job as a veterinarian.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fun.
New identity.
A whole new identity, a whole new life. But it's funny because Sky ends up coming to. They have the parting moment before they do the Tahiti on him, the reprogramming, and he's like, "Will you come visit every now and then?" And she's like, "Yeah, absolutely." And then they send him off to his new life wherever it is. Looks like Miami or something, someplace nice, warm. But Sky shows up and he's all like, "Oh, hi, how you doing?" And she's like, "Can I help you?" And she's like, "Oh, I was just passing through. Nice place you got here." He's like, "Yeah, we're just getting started, but it's going to be a magical place." He actually uses the phrase, "It'll be a magical place."
Yeah, it's a magical place. Yeah.
While talking to her, and he's like, we have adoptions every Saturday, free spaying and neutering. Tell your friends, and he goes off to do his veterinary thing, and she's there with Coulson and Lola.
The thing with that encounter is that it's not apparent at first that he's forgotten her, because it's played off like that she's coming to visit him like she promised.
Right.
And then by the end of it, it's made clear he doesn't know who she is.
Mm-hmm.
And that he's undergone the memory wipe portion of the Tahiti project, and yeah. So and this was kind of like basically Sky saying goodbye to her father.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
And she introduces herself when he asks what her name is. She says Daisy. So she uses her given name. But she goes to Coulson's waiting there with Lola, and she's like, I know how you feel about Project Tahiti, but he's got a lot to give, and this will be a good thing for him. Thanking him, and Coulson's like, I understand, and he's like, well, you ready to get back to work? And he hands her a file and brings up the index, and she tells Coulson, the one thing my mom did have right is people like me need to be kept secret for the better of, I guess, everybody. And it indicates that maybe she's going to help work on the index, or some people are speculating that this may be leading into what did they call it? Something out of the comic books. It's like Secret Warriors or something like that. So where she gets her own team, and it's made of Inhumans.
I think I do remember something in that conversation of like putting together a secret superhero team.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then this is Rain.
That it would not like the Avengers. So, like the Avengers are like the public face of superheroes at this point.
Yeah.
And then Sky's gonna find other Inhumans and put together her own secret team.
Right.
Yeah.
With
this is Raina's vision coming. Yeah. And this is Raina's vision coming true because she saw Sky leading the Inhumans, or being really important, and that was something Jiaying was very upset about. But this is how this is going to work. Is she's going to have her own team, and she's going to be the leader of it, and she knows, she has it in her to do it. I mean, she may be a little unsure of herself, and because she's all new to this, but yeah, she's gonna be awesome. I'm excited.
Yeah. But I mean, Coulson will be there right with her. Happened that Andrew came back in and talked to Bobby and talked to Sky and all that, and Andrew tells Coulson, after everything that's happened, Sky's ready for anything. So whatever you can throw at her, she's ready for it. And we see May decides to take a vacation, apparently for the first time in forever. She packs up a bag with stuff, and it's this nice little skimpy red bikini and her gun, because at the end of the day, she's still May.
Oh, yes.
But it sounds like maybe that May and Andrew may have reconciled, possibly. Maybe. So there's that. And then
that's good news.
Bobby is slowly recovering, but she and Hunter have, I guess, are gonna work on Bobby's recovery side by side. I guess the way it ends is, Bobby wakes up and Hunter tells her, you've had one surgery, you're gonna have another one. They haven't even started on your knee, and Bobby's like, I can't do this anymore. So what that means, we'll find out, I guess, especially now that they're not getting their own spinoff. So who knows?
Yeah.
If Sky's getting her own team, maybe Lincoln will stay around and Lincoln will become part of that team.
Maybe. I hope so.
Yeah. Mac is now in charge of all the artifacts and everything. So,
alien stuff.
And all the alien stuff.
And because he is so distrustful of it, he's a good candidate to take all that on.
Yeah, because he'll look at it with a very discerning eye.
Yes,
but
he's very skeptical of everything.
Yeah, as Sky and Coulson are leaving and talking, and they're climbing into Lola, and Sky has to drive Lola because Coulson only has one hand. And they're talking about, where they go from here and what's going to happen. And we see the Quinjet at the bottom of the ocean, and the case with the crystals has fallen out and has popped open, and they're dissolving in the seawater. And we get this quick montage of fish being caught, fish being processed.
Swimming through where
the crystals
where
are.
the-
Yeah. And then the fish being the fish being caught, the fish being processed, the fish being turned into little tiny capsules, and then putting out on the shelf as fish oil.
Those are like omega-3
supplements.
Omega-3 capsules.
I take fish oil. So seeing that
Oh dear.
made me very unhappy.
So just avoid that particular brand. I don't know.
Is this go to my drugstore? Is this the brand that's sold on Agents of Shield? Because I don't want this. You need to recall this.
This isn't the one that I want.
You don't understand.
Oh.
Yeah.
Call the FDA. This needs to go away now. Yeah. So there's that. It's like the fish and they're putting the bottles and we're watching it and we're like, holy crap, people are gonna buy that. And I'm having flashbacks back to the Incredible Hulk and Stan Lee's cameo where he drinks the bottle and it's got Bruce Banner's blood in it. It's gonna be like that, but way worse. Potentially.
It kind of reminds me of season 3 of 24 in a little bit. They had this virus that got out in this hotel, and it was very contagious. I mean, I know it's not the same thing as bottling something, but it kind of reminded me of that. Like there's going to be mass panic because you couldn't contain what, and they're going to call it a contagion. They're going to call it try to figure out what all this is, and it's fish.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like fish oil, and it's like, oh no, this is going to not be good. And there's potentially probably going to be people who are actually Inhumans who take this stuff who don't know that they're Inhumans, and so they're going to be freaking out because I have powers now and all that stuff. And then there's going to be people turning into stone, and it's like, oh jeez.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
It's not going to be pretty. Coulson's going to have his hands, figurative hands full. Once he gets 2 hands, both of them will be full. So, there's that. And, they could have ended the episode there, and we all still would have been like, oh crap, that's got widespread effects. Potential harmful. How is this going to play? Why we have to wait till fall now? But this being a Whedon run show, granted it's not Joss Whedon, but it's still a Whedon run show,
and it's Marvel.
They got to twist the knife just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Close with Fitz finally asking Simmons out. He's all like dinner, and Simmons is like working and doing her thing, and he's like, yes, dinner, it's coming, we'll eat something, and he's like, no, you, me, we'll go to dinner somewhere maybe nice. And it dawns on Simmons because they'd had this little chat before Fitz went out with Coulson, like, we should probably talk about what you said to me when we were on the bottom of the ocean. And Fitz is like, you want to talk about this now? And she's like, no, when you get back. And he's like, well, I don't think we have anything to talk about. And Simmons is like, well, maybe there is. And then, making all of us Fitzsimmons shippers go, yay! And so...
Oh, I was on the ceiling going, yes! And then I was like, wait.
Yeah. So...
It's like, they're not just giving me a Fitzsimmons scene just to give me a Fitzsimmons scene.
No, not at all. So,
I know what you're doing.
Yeah, so... Fitz asks Simmons out, and Simmons is all like, yeah, sure. And then Fitz is all like, okay, being nonchalant. He's like, okay, well, I'll go. You come find me when you're done, and I'll come up with like a list of options, and we'll figure out where we're going to go. And she's like, okay. And then he leaves. And in the process of chatting with Simmons, she's been working on getting readings on this Kree thing that Gonzalez had in the bottom of his ship, and it looks like a giant rock, like you'd see like Stonehenge or something, but not quite that big, but that same kind of like rectangle, bulky type shape. But apparently this thing can go from solid to liquid and then back to solid. And we see it do it while it's contained in this glass case. And Gordon had explained to Lincoln at one point that this thing is probably Kree, and to the Inhumans, it's very dangerous. But other than that, we don't really know anything about it. So, of course, it's an alien artifact, so it goes with the other alien artifacts, and they're going to catalog it and figure out what they can with it. And, at one point, Simmons is all like, we could find out more if we drop a probe in there, and Mac is all like, no, we're not opening that case for no reason whatsoever. Absolutely not. So Simmons has to do all of her readings and everything from outside the glass case. But Fitz, God love him, but Fitz being Fitz, when he was smooth-talking Gemma, trying to be all nonchalant about asking her out to dinner, accidentally unlocks one of the little thingies on the case. And so when he's done asking her out, he leaves. She's doing her thing. She realizes that the latch is undone. She goes to lock it, and the case bursts open. The rock thing liquefies and sucks Gemma into the box, and it turns back into a rock. And I hate you, Jedwin.
The only way anyone would know anything is wrong is that the glass case is open, and Max, it was the one who said, "We are not opening this box." We're not opening that at all.
And when they realize
no
it's
wonder,
yeah. I
and
hope
then
there's
it's like,
security
okay,
footage.
How long before somebody comes in and sees that the case is open? Like, yeah, I mean, I don't know how long between intervals when it becomes liquid again and then comes back into stone. Like, I don't know if it's like a set schedule that
or if it's like, if it's able to like think and it saw an opportunity and took it. We don't know. That's the thing. And we know it's supposedly dangerous to the Inhumans. So what's going to happen to Gemma? Because if she's human, it may do one thing. If it turns out she's actually an Inhuman, it may do something else. And I cried. Really. I cried, and then I walked out of our room where I was watching it, and Chauncey was like making something in the kitchen, and I just stood there and I was like, I was not capable of making coherent sentences at all. Oh, if your last name is Whedon,
I've seen some speculation that it caused Gemma to time travel.
I've seen all sorts of
dimension
I've seen all sorts of like different theories that it's she's being held captive, or like somehow this will turn her into Captain Marvel and she's going to be Captain Marvel. I don't know if that's possible, but
I don't know.
Right.
But one person read an article where they speculated that she might have time traveled and put together a GIF set of her like back in the 1940s with Peggy Carter.
That'd be awesome.
All right, I'll take it.
That's an interpretation that I'm particularly fond of, but we'll see in the fall, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, it's coming back, so hey.
All I know is, just if your last name is Whedon, I do not like you right now. I am sorry. Just like Joss has his thing with, Buffy and Firefly and the Marvel movies, and, he killed Coulson in the first Avengers, and he did the thing in Age of Ultron, but we won't talk about that because of spoilers. But yeah, just apparently his brother is no better at all.
Just as bad.
Lessons from Big Brother.
You know what? This is my thing. I am glad Arrow. I don't know if we'll get to this some point. I'm glad Arrow ended the way it did, because between Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and and Once Upon a Time and all these other things going on, and I'm probably forgetting a few right now.
Mm-hmm.
All the things that have been happening, I'm like, I'm glad there was one that was relatively calm.
Yeah.
Season finale, because I'm like, I can't take much more
and ended on somewhat of a high note, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Oliver and Felicity.
yes.
Felicity.
Yes, Felicity, my other darling.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've lost count how many darlings I have, but I have a lot.
Right now, the Fitzsimmons shippers are just like heart out on the floor, just step on it multiple times. So
Basically,
that's the note.
Regina Hart.
Yeah.
Out. Krish.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where they left us. That's where we're at for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. until
And
fall.
have a good summer, kids.
Yep.
Right?
Enjoy your summer, kids. Hope you have a fantastic summer vacation. Yeah. No, I just...
Well, speaking of cliffhangers, Elementary just ended on Thursday on kind of a good cliffhanger that
Yeah.
like the Elementary finale was wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good thing we know Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is coming back.
Yeah.
Because if that had gotten canceled and that's where it ended, I would have, somebody was going to hear from me.
Bad words would have been screamed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Shouted
My face, If you're friends with me on Facebook, you saw my post, like, the day after the finale, and I copied what I wrote and Brittany wrote and Holly wrote in the Facebook chat. And it's just letters and symbols, and Steve Rogers would have been going language across the board.
I saw it before I actually watched the episode. I saw your reaction, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh yes, they did.
Yeah.
I'll bet you anything. So I was like, I went into it thinking, okay.
You were somewhat forewarned.
Yeah.
I was somewhat forewarned.
Steve Rogers would not have cared for the words that came out of my mouth at the end of that show. At all.
I don't think I had words to say. I was just like,
yeah, that too. Yeah.
Blah, blah.
Yeah. So.
But once words were able to be formed, it would have been one that Rogers would not have liked.
No.
Yeah.
No. Indeed.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my goodness.
That's unless anybody has anything else to add, that's how we're gonna end the show. Is just exactly how the episode ended and the season ended.
It was an excellent season.
Yes.
They dealt with Hydra. They dealt with everything that needed to be dealt with. There was some really good character stuff going on, and I hear someone with a lightsaber.
Technical issues.
Anyway, yes. And S.H.I.E.L.D. is back. Summer. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. S.H.I.E.L.D.'s back and fully functional again. And we're setting up for Phase 3, guys. So buckle up and let's do this thing.
Yep.
I know!
Oh.
Bitch, was that you?
Yes.
Yeah.
My squeed.
It'll be.
That was an A+ squeak. I give that one a 9.5 out of 10.
Yeah. I mean, it's
It just kind of happened.
Yeah.
I like it, and now it's on record for all posterity.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's gonna be interesting because I mean we've got Ant-Man coming out in July, and he's the end of Phase 2, and then we'll have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. come back in the fall, and then we'll probably get Agent Carter again as a mid-season replacement, and then we'll get the second half of Season 3 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and with Skye and this Index thing. and the possibility of now hundreds, if not thousands, of powered people becoming their powered alternative selves because of the Terrigen stuff in the fish oil. So there's the potential for lots of powered people, and that can feed right into Civil War, which comes out next summer. So
Lots of powered people and lots of dead people.
yeah,
Yeah.
and somebody's gonna have to be answer for it when all heck breaks loose, and Coulson's got a lot on his plate.
He can handle it. He's got the team. He's got the team to do it.
Yeah.
I saw someone commenting about how like Coulson was sloppy for not making sure that was cleaned up, but I'm not sure he knew, because Sky might not have thought to tell him that this crystals went into the ocean. So
yeah.
Did she see those crystals get loaded up though? Necessarily, I don't know. It's like who knew what and when.
I think she knew the crystals were on board, which is why she knocked it over the side in the first place, so that the Quinjet couldn't be launched and spread it out the way Diane was planning on doing it.
Right.
And maybe she didn't think about. Maybe she didn't. Yeah. Maybe she didn't think it through that might be the possible consequence. So she didn't tell Coulson. So Coulson doesn't know. So yeah.
So there's that. Oh, even in that closing line, that when Coulson and Sky are talking, is this when he that what's happened and what's going to happen, and he says this right here, referring to the loss of his hand. This is the reminder of the consequences of our actions and the decisions we make, and if that's not foreshadowing, I don't know what is. So.
And one thing I just wanted to point out was the fact that the fish oil capsules, the bottle said health benefits that will change your life.
I know.
Little on the nose there, Whedon.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was meant to be on the nose.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
That's hey, here's a little. Are you paying attention to what's going on here?
Like we know that there's a double meaning there, but the people who buy the capsules aren't going to. They're just going to think of like the health benefits and the positive changes to their lives that brought on by taking fish oil.
It's over the top.
Capsules.
Yeah, it's over the top advertising. Like advertisers always have stuff like that. They're like, oh, it'll change your life, and it's just like, whatever.
Well, because the people who the company behind those particular capsules don't know that there's Terrigen crystal oil.
They don't even know what it is.
No,
they don't know how on the nose their slogan is.
Yeah, nope. Oh my! Is it fall yet?
No.
We've got summertime to get through, and I gotta say, I'm kind of glad that hiatus is coming now. I know this is like sacrilege, but I need to catch my breath. I need to catch up on some other things.
Yeah.
It's just been a wild and crazy ride.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But we love it.
Oh yeah. If we didn't love it, we wouldn't bother.
Yeah. We
love screaming out Jed Whedon's name like they're nasty curse words. we get off on this.
It's like Bobby said when she was being tortured by Ward and Agent 33. I would do it all again. That's how we feel about it. We do it all again. So. Well, unless anybody has anything else to add, we should sign off here. So.
I will just say I've got this little quote that I came up with back in January on a sticky note, among many hundreds of sticky notes I have on in front of my desk. And it's just this little line that I came up with. It says, "A fangirl dies 1,000 deaths and is grateful for the opportunity."
Yeah. And we'll continue this trend next week when we talk about season 4B of Once Upon a Time. So for you listeners that are Once Upon a Time fans, you want to talk about the second half of the season, that's what we'll be talking about next week.
That's what we're talking about. And if you have feedback to send in, go to our website, the5ishfangirlspodcast.blogspot.com, and find all of our contact information, email, Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, Pinterest, Instagram. Well, yeah.
Yep.
Interact with us online. Send us some feedback if you have thoughts about Once Upon a Time or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or anything else. If you want anything else you want to scream about with us, we'll scream along with you, because that's what we do around here.
Yep.
And cry. Lots of crying, but it's all good.
Yeah.
Yep.
And also on iTunes, download us, leave us a review, find us on YouTube, and if you feel so inclined, donate to the cause on Patreon as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we appreciate all who donate, because you make this possible every week for us to come on and squee and cry and be happy and just generally fangirl over everything.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Okay, well, with that, while everyone is still present, we will sign off for this week.
This is actually Brittany from Fort Pierce saying goodnight.
This is Chrissy saying goodnight from Salt Lake City, 1 year older.
It's almost time. Good evening.
This is Mitch saying goodnight from Goderich, Ontario.
She remembers where she is this time.
Yeah!
Yay!
Now you have to leave it in.
Yeah. We don't edit. Yeah.
I missed that. I didn't know what that was about.
We'll tell you later. And this is Rachel.
We'll find out.
Yeah, you'll find out in a minute. And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Science, biatch!
You have been listening to the 5-ish Fangirls podcast. Any and all movies, books, games, and other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by their respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied.